Welcome, friends, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani, along with Jerry Usher. He's back. We missed you, Jerry. That day seems... We did. We want to hear all about the fundraiser that you were able to be part of and to MC. We hear it was successful in Salem, Oregon, and we're so glad you're back with us. But Jerry, we're talking about Pokemon today. We're talking about that monster-catching craze for smartphones that's sweeping the nation. Should it be Pokemon Go or Pokemon Stop? That's what we're talking about today.
Debbie, that's actually why I was in Oregon. Yeah, I was looking I was playing Pokemon, and it led me to Salem, Oregon.
Oh, my goodness. So
I'm going to confess right now, I really don't know a lot about Pokemon. You know more, and then we've got a guest who's going to join us who has written an article on this craze and kind of putting it into a Catholic perspective for us.
That's awesome. So how'd the fundraiser go, Jerry? We're all curious. We prayed for you, and we hear it was successful.
It was great. Yeah, very successful. St. Joseph Church in Salem, Oregon is putting in a fresco of the dreams, the biblical dream scenes of St. Joseph. So they raised a good amount of money, and it was fun, and I saw a lot of old friends. So good to be back, though. Good to be back on the show.
We missed you. We talked about back to school yesterday, and so this ties right into this Pokemon sensation or whatever, or phenomena, whatever you want to call it, that's going all around the country. Now, dear listeners, before we bring on our guest who, like Jerry said, wrote an article about this, which really opened our eyes about what's the good side, the bad side, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's just think about this for a moment. Do you think something that distracts you has a benefit to it? Well, let me just share with you just some, and I mean some of the reported accidents and crimes that have been committed that are associated with the Pokemon Go series. There's been robberies at gunpoint, deaths, abandoning children, people falling off of cliffs, assaults, stabbings. It goes on and on. Unbelievable. So, Jerry, I think we need to bring an expert on to help us with this.
Well, I want to invite our listeners to call, too, 1-800-585-9396. It's probably a certainty that if you have kids, they're saying they want to play Pokemon, they want to download it onto their smartphones or however else you play this. Like I said, I'm not that up on it myself. I don't do a lot of video gaming, but if you have questions, concerns, comments, maybe you think it's a great thing. Some are saying it's evangelization opportunities. 1-800-585-9396. The article appeared in Catholic Exchange, written by James Day. He is EWTN's operations manager in their studios at Christ Cathedral in Orange County. James, thanks for making some time to be with us today. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I've just betrayed my basic ignorance of what Pokemon is, and I know Debbie explained it a little bit, but James, can you kind of, for our listeners' sake, for those who are saying, what is this? You know, can you give us a little bit of a quick snapshot? What are we talking about here? What is Pokemon?
You might remember back, I think around maybe the late 90s, Pokemon really took off, and for a certain age group, kind of teens and younger. Back then, it was really about cards, like collecting cards. That was really what Pokemon was. It turned into a franchise with movies and television, and then you didn't really hear about it much until this summer when Pokemon Go really came onto the scene. So it really made a comeback, but it's really taken off in the form of a digital game that's really, as you explained, is really a phenomenon.
So, James, I remember the Pokemon when it first was introduced because my son was into it. We had tons and tons and tons of stacks of Pokemon cards, and now that this game, this free app is available on your phone, if you don't have unlimited data, it uses up data. We know that, right? And in this free app, and people go around to try and catch these monsters, these monsters show up in all these unusual places, and people are really spending quite a bit of time trying to win this game or capture as many things as they can. Is that correct, James?
I think you got it. What the phenomenon is both capturing the Pokemon franchise and playing off of people's memories of but it also is bringing on a whole new group of users who may have not been into Pokemon back then, but want to participate. It's the phenomenon of this summer. Where I kind of liken it to in a totally different way, but the ice bucket challenge from a couple of summers ago.
Oh yeah,
it seems to me what this is. People want to get in on this, whether or not it has anything to do with Pokemon. My interest, I don't think it's so much Pokemon. I think it's what we're seeing with augmented reality and what that's going to look like going forward. I think this is the beginning of that. So it's not so much Pokemon itself. But it was a great idea to grab a franchise that people are familiar with and use that as a way to introduce what I think is going to be the way of the future.
Yeah, to capitalize on it. Dear listeners, jump in, 1-800-585-9396. If you play Pokemon Go, if you're against it, we want to hear from you. All sides of this are very, very important. Jerry?
James Day is with us. He wrote an article in Catholic Exchange. We will put that up on the Take2Show.com website. Again, our phone number, 1-800-585-9396. James, you just said something I was going to pull out of your article and quote. You were saying you believe this type of phenomenon is the way of the future, which makes sense given Pokemon Go's wild popularity. You can just imagine any and everyone who does this kind of stuff is going to latch onto this augmented reality, as you call it, and try and take advantage of that. You also mentioned in your article it combines a sense of community with a blurring of reality. So one of those sounds kind of okay, a sense of community. The blurring of reality part sounds a little bit something that we might want to be careful about. So talk about that combination as you see it, how we as Catholics should feel about that.
I think we have the tendency to, when something new comes along, to just immediately bury our heads in the sand and just immediately recoil from things that we don't quite understand. But I think is actually a good thing to have that sense of caution about things. We sort of look at the greater context. We ultimately we are not made for this world, so we come from a good perspective. But I think there is some things we can learn from what we're seeing with this phenomenon. The sense of community is one. You hear stories about people gathering first off in strange places, alleys, and things that they never would have gone to anyway for whatever reason. That's another issue. But it still brought people together. Strangers that they never met before, who are getting together about this one thing. The other thing is that it also leads into this blurred reality of you're hunting something that's both part of this world but not. It's creatures who are digital creatures that appear within the setting in which you find yourself, the coordinates that you're directed to go to find these Pokemon creatures, which is the phenomenon that I saw here at the cathedral. So I came back from the Napa Institute conference in July to find swarms of people visiting the cathedral. Now, they do anyway, because it's a cathedral location, it's a great pilgrimage spot. People want to know what the Christ Cathedral is. But there was a whole slew of people I'd never seen before playing this game. And that really prompted me to really think about what was happening here.
James, phone lines are just lighting up, so we want to go ahead and just hit the pause button for just a moment. If you could stay with us, maybe you could get to some of the calls, because their comments are coming in about exactly what you just said, this sense of community, even having people showing up on church campuses. Is there a way to tie in evangelization for that? But then you heard me list all of the incidents and accidents and even deaths that have happened because of Pokemon Go. So let's talk about it. Dear listeners, this is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about Pokemon Go, the craze that's sweeping the nation. We want to hear from you, so stay with us on Take Two.
Hey guys, where were you when you had your deepest conversations about God and faith and life? Well, if you're like me, you were probably sitting up till all hours drinking coffee in an all-night diner with your best friends. Hi, I'm Deacon Jeff Drzymski, inviting you to relive that experience right here in the luxurious corner booth of the Catholic Cafe.
The Catholic Cafe, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern and Sundays at 5 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Live truth, live Catholic.
Whether you're at home, at work, in the car, you can follow what he teaches 24 hours each day. We're EWTN Radio.
And just to let you know, I'm a returning Catholic because of EWTN. Bless you guys and keep it up.
And you're invited to visit our website too. Just log on to www.ewtn.com. That's www.ewtn.com.
This is Cardinal Sean O'Malley, Archbishop of Boston, Massachusetts.
This is Marcus Grodi, host of The Journey Home.
Hello, this is Archbishop Joseph Tobin of the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. You're listening to EWTN, the Global Catholic Radio Network.
Should Pokemon go or should Pokemon stop? We're having a conversation here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And James Day is with us. He is EWTN's Studio Operations Manager. They're located at Christ Cathedral in Orange County. 1-800-585-9396 will get you on today's program. We're going to go right to the phones. We've got James with us, by the way, for the first half of the program, so you've got a shot at him here as you have called in. Michelle, listening to EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130 in New York. Michelle, you are up first. Welcome.
Hi. I was driving to the Shrine of Our Lady of the Island on Long Island in New York to do the Divine Mercy Chaplet, which I try to do as often as possible, and I heard you're talking about Pokémon Go, and I said I have to call in and tell them what the priests of the Shrine, the Montfort missions, have done. About 2 weeks ago, I was leaving my prayer group late at night, about 10 o'clock, and literally, when I tell you I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of teenagers were driving in late at night on motorcycles, bikes, cars, jam-packed with kids. And I said, well, this is very unusual. I've never seen this before. So I called Father immediately to notify him, and he went, oh, those Pokemon Go kids. And I said, Father, what are you talking about? He therefore explained everything that I just heard from you on the radio just now. He explained it all, and he said, we have to do something about this because these kids are coming in here, and it's just too bizarre. It's weird. They're looking for I don't know what, and what they need to do is they really need to be finding Jesus. So he made business cards, and on those business cards there's a beautiful picture of Jesus, and it says, have you found me yet? You think you're looking for Pokemon, but I'm looking for you. Every day at the Mass at the Shrine, 11:30 daily, and then he put the website, ourladyoftheisland.org, and on the flip side of the card, he put his email address so that any one of them can email him, and he put in bold, in vertical, ask, and then in very, very subtle letters, A is for ask, S is for seek, K is for knock, and then he put Son of God Go. And I thought that was brilliant. And literally, while I was waiting for you to come on, I just handed out 2 cards to 2 teenagers. That's how we're doing it every single day for the past 2 weeks.
Michelle, while you were speaking, I texted Jerry and I said, that is brilliant. And you said, that was so brilliant. Absolutely. What an amazing creative mind. Is it the pastor at the church?
This is a shrine. So
a shrine.
It's not,
okay.
And it's about 70 acres of mostly wooded area, but it is filled, the whole 70 acres is filled with statues and rosaries and the what do you call it when you do the sun when Jesus died, the Passion. Mm-hmm. There are statues everywhere, and this is where they're all walking, is on this holy ground. And he said he's the one who runs the shrine. His name is Father Roy Tverdick. He's a Montfort mission, and it's all run by just 3 Montfort missions. And he said, we can't lose this opportunity. These kids are here. We have to do something while they're here. And we invite them to prayer.
Wow. James, how do you feel about that lead into evangelization by that amazing creative priest?
That's great.
I kind of think we probably should do that all around the country. Don't you think, James? Maybe get cards to represent every parish and every shrine. I think that's really, a way to turn it into something that is a positive. But then let me ask this. And Michelle, listen up for this question. James, how do you feel about that? Do you think? I mean, how should we feel about these things that come upon us in a secular way, and we transition them? Are we trying to make something good out of it? Are we feeding into it somehow? What should we be aware of anything?
I think the story of the shrine that was just told, I think it's a great outreach opportunity. I do think there needs to be the chance. It needs to be authentic, though. The teenagers or whoever's walking onto the grounds need, in their own way, in an authentic way, need to come to discover the divine. So we don't want to push. This may be planting a seed. They may be playing the game now and be focused on this. And it may be a long time before they realize, hey, I was on that cathedral, or I was at that shrine. I never would have thought, here I am, years, months later, that they're back. So they're on their own path, so I don't want to push them away. But I do think it's an opportunity for evangelization.
Yeah, absolutely. Michelle, thanks in New York. We will certainly pray that priest's efforts bear much fruit, and I'm sure he's not the only one who's doing creative and taking advantage of this opportunity. Michelle, thank you. 1-800-585-9396. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, looking at the new Pokémon Craze, Pokémon Go. Do you play? Do you have kids who play it? Do you monitor their time that they do this? Are you happy that they do? Are you a little bit weary of that? We're going to hear from another Michelle now, listening to EWTN Radio in West Virginia. Hello, Michelle number 2. You're on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well.
Good.
Wanted to call and give a perspective from a mom, the 8-year-old who's interested in the game. My 8-year-old is very into video games, things like that. We limit his screen time, but he's
I think we may have, Michelle, we may have a bad phone connection there. Are you with us? All right, we'll tell you what. We will
call back.
Michelle just dropped there in West Virginia. Please call us back, Michelle. That line you were on is open at 1-800-585-9396. Sorry about that. We have Rachel in Dallas listening to EWTN Radio on Guadalupe Radio. Rachel, you are on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and our guest, James Day. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. I'm so glad you took my call. I say no to Pokemon because we live on a dead-end street that dead-ends into an old cemetery. And we don't have people that travel up and down our street unless it's, the neighborhood walkers. Well, since the Pokemon came out, it's been hundreds of people going up and down our street, young people. And I'm 52, so they're young, teenagers. And since this started, our daughter's car, the window was smashed and broken into. Her purse was stolen. We've never had any problems. And I was walking my dogs, my 2 dogs, and these 2 young boys, they had to be 16. I could see them right through the windshield, were coming right at me. They were both looking at their phones, not watching where they were going. They almost hit me and my dogs. We had to jump out of their way because they were looking for that cemetery because there's like a prize or something at the cemetery. So I do not like it at all. So that's just my take on it.
James, what do you say about that? Because I'm sitting here just dumbfounded that has even happened to you, Rachel. I mean, that's really traumatizing. I mean, to have to jump out of the way and then to me, I was saying to Jerry just now, for them to be converging on a cemetery, doesn't that kind of border disrespect a little bit? James, can you maybe comment on that?
No, it does seem to speak to a lot of problems there. And like you were saying at the top of the show, Debbie, with the idea, how many accidents and things like that are happening, not just physically, but now we're talking about sort of the spiritual dimension of things and the invasion of privacy and that sort of thing. I think it's just, I have to go back to the idea of the way of the future and the way digital technology is moving. This is unfortunately something that we're going to have to address the more popular things like this become. The fact that Google was involved with the making of this game, and it's reliant on people's location by their coordinates that the phone is giving them. It speaks a lot of ethical issues as well.
Yeah, well, as our guest James Day has said, he sees this is going to be the way of the future, and quite frankly, I'm just going to show my hand right now. It's disturbing to me. I think there may be opportunities if people show up at churches who otherwise wouldn't. But again, are the pluses? Do they outweigh the minuses? I don't know. This is a conversation that we're having with your help, dear listeners, at 1-800-585-9396. Rachel, we're going to pray for you. Thank you, and really appreciate you sharing your take on the show. James Day is with us only for another few minutes here, but we'll continue the conversation, Debbie and I, the rest of the show. So keep the calls coming. Denise is next, listening on the EWTN app in Chico, California. Denise, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and James Day.
Oh, hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
And I have a couple comments. One is that I am 50 plus, and I and my boys are 20s, and I play the game with them. I don't really actually play. I like looking for the Pokémon. It's kind of silly. It's a silly game. It's fun. And one of my things that Debbie had asked earlier, or had mentioned earlier, is it okay to be distracted? Absolutely. We all need distraction in our day. We all need time away from, absolutely we need to go to prayer. We need to do all those things. But to be distracted with your friends or with your family, it's an okay thing. The offshoot of this game, the awful things that are happening, is not because the game is a bad game. It's because people are distracted in a bad way, an inconvenient way, a way that, that they either weren't brought up, told, watch your surroundings. But the other thing about the game is that the sweet thing, I know that it brings in some, people don't like it or whatever, but these little creatures are always evolving to a higher level, and in our quest for holiness, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So we are supposed to constantly be evolving into a higher level of holiness to try to better ourselves. And so in a way, I think we have to take these new things that are coming out, this game, and we have an opportunity to look at the good side of everything. And the accidents are horrible. I'm not saying that any of that is good, but it's an opportunity to wake your children up. Tell them to look at their surroundings. Walk with them when they go look for Pokemon. It's fun. Walk around with them. Don't let little kids go by themselves. Go on a walk with your kids, and then look at other things besides the Pokemon.
Yeah, Denise, you said a lot of great things, and we have to take a hard break in just about a minute, and I just want James to comment. James, when you hear the music, that's the hard break getting ready to start. So can you make some comments on Denise's very interesting angle to this?
There's a lot of wisdom there, I think. I think she balances both sides of the positivity, but also, the negativity of it. And it just reminds me, the article that I wrote in Catholic Exchange was Joseph Ratzinger and Pokémon Go. The future Benedict XVI in the early 70s foresaw the digital revolution. And the fact that the digital, as opposed to analog, digital is based on numbers. The zeros, the ones. He saw that as reducing man to mere numbers. And he brought it back to the face of God, and that God knows us by name, and he knows us by face. He himself took on the human face. And I think that is the lesson that we want to take. The greater context is this stuff is temporary. What are we going to make permanent out of it? What can we turn from digital into human and the divine?
All right. James, thanks for being with us. We know you got to run, so thank you. Have a blessed day. And Denise, thanks for calling from Chico. We're going to get to more of your calls and takes on Pokémon Go. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio.
You have a voice in your head. How did he know that, the voice just said? Because we all do. And the words you speak to yourself matter a lot. Our words shape our self-perception. Our self-perception shapes our actions. Our actions shape our lives. Words are at the foundation of our whole lives. What words do you speak to yourself? The book of Revelations calls the devil the accuser of our brothers. He wants us to amplify the negative words in our heads. God reveals the truth about who we are. But he didn't do that so you wait for me to preach it to you. Preach it to yourself. When the voice within starts saying, I'm weak, used, washed up, not pretty enough, skinny enough, smart enough, I'll never be enough. Replace that with words like, I'm blessed, I'm chosen, I'm beautiful, I am a son or a daughter of the King of Heaven. I don't mean that figuratively, I mean it literally. Look in the mirror and preach the truth to yourself. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
I'm Raymond Arroyo with Mother Angelica, A Remarkable Life. Mother Angelica went to McKinley High, and in 1940, she failed her junior year. To compensate, she went to summer school, taking a collection of courses that at the time were designed to merely get her a diploma. They included blueprint reading, salesmanship, and economics, all courses that would serve her very well in later life. Stay with EWTN as we continue to celebrate the life and legacy of Mother Mary Angelica.
Jerry Usher, Debbie Georgiani on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We are talking about the Pokémon Craze, Pokémon Go. Today on the program, lines are full. We're going to get right back to you in just a moment. However, Debbie, we are super, super excited because a new program, it's not a new show, but it has come upon the entire EWTN radio network at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. More to Life with our friends Dr. Greg and Lisa Popchak. Debbie, I know we're both excited about this.
Oh, absolutely. I actually emailed Dr. Greg and Lisa and said, congratulations, how awesome. Now I can listen to you everywhere I go. And we're just happy to have them with us. I believe they're on with us. They decided to jump on and say hello to us. So hi, Lisa. Hi, Dr. Greg.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jerry. How are you today?
Great, great. Yes, I'll echo what Debbie said. Congratulations. And we're going to have Greg and Lisa for a couple minutes here. So those of you on hold, we'll get right back to you. But this is just a great, great opportunity for the two of you in your ministry.
Well, we're really thrilled to be able to bring this message to a wider audience. You know, we every day on More to Life, we unpack principles from Pope St. John Paul the Great's theology of the body to help people live the life they were meant to live. We integrate that with cutting-edge insights from counseling psychology to really help people overcome the marriage, family, or personal challenges that they might be encountering, or just figure out how to get more out of the life that God wants them to live. You know, that's why the show is called More to Life, because really, you know, through God's grace, God is leading us into a more abundant life, and we talk about how to live that every day.
Well, Dr. Greg and Lisa Popchak is with us. More to Life can be heard on EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So have you been listening to the Pokémon Go? I just have to ask you, what is, if you know about it, what is your take on it? I'm just curious.
You can't get away from it, can you? You have to watch everywhere you're driving because some kid could mindlessly walk in front of you. And every priest I know has kids hanging out right in front of the church.
You know, walking into my office for this interview, I tripped over Pikachu, so what can I tell you?
Well, you know, and by the way, we have Dr. Greg and Lisa Popchak on for just another minute or so here talking about their program coming to EWTN Radio. That is so exciting. Talk for a minute just about the what you're seeing from people, the impact that a show like yours is having, and really all of Catholic radio. I mean, to be a part of what God is doing through this, you must see, especially in the subject matter that you deal with, you must see some amazing things that God is doing.
Oh, we are so humbled and so blessed to really see amazing things that God is doing, because I think that when you listen to More to Life as a listener, it is sometimes the first time that you can honestly say, wow, I didn't know I had to compartmentalize, that I didn't have to compartmentalize my faith and the rest of my life. Because we do that, don't we? We go to Mass, we'll go to our prayer meeting, we'll do our rosary or our chaplet, but then we handle our spouse, our kids, those people at work, those thoughts in our heads in a very different way. And More to Life teaches us through the blessings of 2,000 years of church wisdom and cutting-edge psychology to integrate God into every moment of the day. And it's amazing what happens when you transform your life in that way.
Because the program really is all about trying to encourage people to live the Catholic difference in everything that they do. There's a unique Catholic vision of marriage and family life. In fact, there's a unique Catholic vision of life. But a lot of people don't realize that. And what does that actually look like? And how do you live that in healthy, godly, fulfilling ways? And so that's what we try to unpack on the program every day with different themes and calls and a whole rotating roster of different guests who are all experts on theology of the body and living out the practical dimensions of that. So it's a pretty packed hour.
Wow. Well, thanks for making time with us, you guys. You're awesome. You're using your gifts to impact souls, and we're going to be listening to More to Life weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And Lisa and Dr. Greg Popchak, you guys are awesome. Keep up the great ministry work, and visit us again on Take Two. Will you do that?
Anytime.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. 10 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio, Monday through Friday. All right, Debbie and I are talking about Pokémon Go, and we're going to go right back to your calls. Art has been waiting patiently, as you all have been. Thank you for that. Art is listening to EWTN Radio on The Rock in Cleveland. Hello, Art. What is your take on this?
Can you hear me better? I'm on speaker.
Just fine. Yeah, we got you.
Okay, great. I have my son with me. Now, Pokemon is just one of those a fantasy game, and it's also a craze. Now, as an adult, remember about 15 years ago, maybe even longer, the adults came up with a game called fantasy football. How many adults have gotten into that? They have meetings, they get their teams together, they gamble, they meet at bars, and things like that. So this is for the young kids. But you're right, they are out. My twin boys are out at night, and they're out cruising till midnight or so looking for Pokemon. And one quick story, I was in an elevator with a group of people, and I stomped my foot very hard, and I looked down and I thought, oh my goodness, I thought it was a bug. No, it turned out to be a Pokemon.
Well, Art, it's an interesting comparison that you make between this Pokemon game and fantasy football, because they are both, as you say, in a sense, fantasy. I'm not a fantasy football player myself. I just have never had the time. I know people who are, like you said, they have they're playing like 10 leagues. And for those who don't know what fantasy football is, you and your friends, you can join a league and you draft players from you don't have any one NFL team, but you draft, whatever players you want. You go through a draft. You have leagues, you have commissioners, you have standings, you start players, you sit players down, and you get points based on their statistics and how they do in a given Sunday's or a weekend's game. But I find that, again, it's just something that I just don't have the time for. And Debbie, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this comparison that Art is making between Pokemon and fantasy football or other fantasy leagues for other sports too.
Right. So Art, it sounds like you're kind of giving it a 2 thumbs up. It's an okay thing to do, or are you thinking does it have a downside, Art? How about that?
Well, yeah. I have one of my sons right here now. Yeah, I don't like them going out at night because of because they work and they go to school. They're out and they're looking for these Pokemons, but they go into areas that probably I wouldn't be going into. And exactly. I warned him. I said, I'm not worried about you guys. I'm worried about somebody else. But here's my son, Mike. He'll explain more why he does it.
Oh, perfect. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining us. Mike, how old are you?
I'm 17.
You're 17. And are you playing the Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen any problems with it? Is there any fights have broken out? Any problems? Or has it all been just a community builder?
I mean, I know there's like a lot of news stories about people getting hit by cars and whatnot, but that's like the people who don't pay attention to what's going on, and they need to be a lot smarter about it. Most of the people who do play it, most of the people who play it are usually smart about stuff. I mean, I see it as more of like I meet new people playing it, Like, first couple weeks it came out, I met people in the neighborhood I never met before.
Oh, okay, but hold on, Mike, because this is great that we have you. You are awesome. Thank you for representing all of the youth on this because we needed that. You know, Jerry and I are a lot older, and so we've lost touch a little bit. But Mike, when you said you meet people, if you have your head buried in the game, looking and being distracted, do you take a break? Does everybody take a break at the same time? When you meet people, are you just side by side with people, or are you really developing relationships?
I found that, I usually found a group of people around my neighborhood, and we always go walking around sometimes, and we'll stay up for a couple hours, and then when our phones die, we go charge our batteries and come back out. So it's more than just like a one-time thing meeting them.
All right. Well, Mike, right? Your name is Mike?
Yes.
Yeah. This is maybe an unfair question, and you don't have to answer it. It's kind of tongue in cheek. But your dad just said he's not really crazy about you and your brother being out late at night. So how do you feel about that? You guys are still going out and doing
Mike.
this, and what's that?
Yeah, Mike,
I mean, I think of it as we come home safe every night that we go. We don't get in trouble. We don't be obnoxious towards other people by playing loud music in the car. We're really respectful about everything, so we try and do it as good as we can.
Well, Mike, you know what? Be safe, and you sound like a very responsible young man. Your dad's very lucky, and you're lucky to have a dad like that because you're listening to Take Two, and that's awesome. So you're developing your spiritual life and forming, growing closer to God, and that's awesome, Mike. Way to go. Keep up that faith. Keep up that great, responsible, absolute outlook of yours. I love it. You sound like a great teen, and thank your dad for us for putting you on the phone. Will you do that, Mike?
Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Mike and Art, for joining us on the program.
Wow, this is turning out to be a great show because we're getting all different angles, just like Take Two was designed to do. Okay, Al, you're listening to EWTN Radio in Canada on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Al. Thanks for waiting.
Yes, hello. Mike was like a representative for Pokémon Go. I'm a representative of the old Vanguard. I grew up with the old Pokémon Craze in the late 90s. And I remember, you could not go in the schoolyard without, something Pokemon-related. It's, insanely popular for, 3 or 4 years after it was initially released in America. And my take on the new Pokemon Go is, I personally haven't even downloaded it. I don't have the time to get into it now. But, I can see, both pros and cons for Pokemon Go. Just like anything. Really, as numerous callers were saying about the positive, the community building aspect, yes, we had that in the old Pokemon Craze in school when we were just Michael Day was it who was on earlier? He said the Pokemon trading card game was popular, and we bonded over that and the video game and just about everything. And
Al, this is interesting. I want expound a little bit. You said you don't have the time for it, and this is, I have a number of concerns about this. I see a lot of very possible pluses or benefits to this as well, but one of my concerns is the time factor. If kids are spending hours and hours a day doing this, what are they not doing? And I want to ask you that question now. What is it that you're doing that says I need to prioritize this and I don't have time for Pokemon?
Yeah, I remember even in the original Pokemon Red and Blue, it was highly addicting. Kids would spend hours on the original games, 50 hours a week or something. I heard insane stories about that. But right now, I'm working full time. I'm studying for my law exam. I just don't have the time to get into Pokemon Go because the way the game is designed, it's designed to take a lot of time. It's designed because you have to level up your Pokemon. You have to go to different places, fight trainers.
Yeah, it's addicting.
It's one of those games that just requires so much time. It's just designed for it.
Right. My son was into that too, Al, but I want to tell you something that when you just said something, I was thinking to myself, right now you said you're studying for the law exam. You're investing in your future. And that's huge. What concerns me is, does Pokemon really invest in people's futures? And that's really an interesting thing. So way to go. We're going to pray that, when do you take the exam? I'm going to pray exactly. I'm going to put it in my book. When do you take the exam?
Oh, thank you. On September 24th.
Okay. Well, and so this is awesome. We're going to say some prayers around you. Keep up the great work and invest in your future like that. I love that's awesome. You sound so, again, responsible and looking towards the future. Way to go, Al. Thank you so much. You're very grounded. That's what we need on this show today. And thank you for bringing that perspective to the conversation. Thanks, Al. God bless you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Al. We appreciate that call from Canada at 1-800-585-9396. Or I've got Elaine listening to EWTN Radio driving through Michigan. Elaine, welcome. You're next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing better now that you called, Elaine.
Okay. Well, I'm going to camp on something that has been brought up several times the last few minutes, and that's about the time. I'm 53, so that's my demographic. I'm a Catholic Christian. And in our Bible, it says that every man should be ready to give an answer to any man who asks about the hope that lies within him. And I challenge every parent who allows their child, their teen, the young adult, to spend the grandiose amount of hours that they do with Pokemon or any other video game to have that answer ready. Because until you are able to say, I have done all the priorities in my life as a Christian person, I will not be spending all of these hours doing something that has no eternal value or very little eternal value. So that's my concern. I think that many parents, many adults, many young people don't prioritize the sacred. They are putting the secular first. And I really think that in a Christian's life, and I don't think it's my thought, it's not original to me, but there is no difference between the secular and the sacred. You should always be ready to give that answer. And I think many of these kids would not be able to do that.
Elaine, I'm sitting here and just in awe of your comments, because I could never have expressed it as well as you just did. So thank you. In my opinion, you hit a home run with what you said. Jerry?
No, I completely agree. We're going to be accountable for, I mean, Elaine brought up we have to be ready to give a reason for the hope that lies within us, and I'm sure she's also alluding to the fact that we have to be ready to give an accounting before God for really every second of the time that He has given us on this earth, every word that comes out of our mouth, every action, every omission. So our whole life, this really is something that touches upon really just the whole human person and our relationship with God and how we're going to be accountable for all of that. So, Elaine, are we hearing what you're saying pretty accurately?
Yes, I agree with what you just said. I think that everything that we do is supposed to be done to the glory of God, and if you can't play Pokemon to the glory of God, you shouldn't be playing it.
Wow, that's powerful. Elaine, thank you so much for making the time to be with us today and to speaking to the world your thoughts and your feelings on this. It helps us to really shape this conversation. Thank you, Elaine. God bless you. 1-800-585-9396. That's the number to come on. You can take Elaine's line right now. She just went on with her day. She's driving, so safe driving. Okay, Peter. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Joel. I'm sorry, I saw the wrong line. Joel in Richmond, Virginia, listening to EWTN Radio on iHeartRadio app. Hi, Joel.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call. It's really good to be on your show. It was interesting to hear. I'm in my office this afternoon. I work for a parish in Richmond, Virginia, and your story today is really resonating with me because just last week we found out that our parish has a Pokémon Go stop in one of our sort of gardens with a Mary statue. And what initially started as some concern with some staff members and maybe some parishioners we brought it to a staff meeting, and some people were like, should we contact Pokemon and ask them to remove it and whatever? And I kind of took the wheel at the staff meeting and said, hey, this is really cool. We've been running, Father's been running a whole series of homilies on evangelization. We've been welcoming some new people, and we're attracting some younger people in the Richmond area and all of that. So anyway, it was neat that we started, with some concern and all of that, and then what went from that, we realized that, if somebody comes to the parish to pick up their virtual, Pokemon ammo or whatever it is, I don't play the game myself, and, their stop at our Mary statue makes them think about God or the Paschal Mystery or the Blessed Mother. They see the beautiful architecture of our church building and, the decorations. We thought, what is there really to lose? It may bring people to the church that wouldn't normally be there, So at least as far as I was concerned, this is a great way for us to evangelize in this community that I think could really use it.
Yeah, Joel, this is a point that's been made on the show already, and we've had very favorable comments about Pokemon. We've had some people issue some cautions and so forth, and that's the purpose of this show, is to have a conversation like this so that we can all hopefully come away and see the different ways of looking at an issue like this, because it's not like a church moral teaching where you can say, well, it can only be this way and not this way. And I think Debbie and I would both agree. Debbie, I think I can speak for you. If you get somebody in front of a Mary statue or on church grounds or something who otherwise wouldn't go there, who knows, but the grace of God is going to be there and touch that person's heart. Again, I can't, in my mind, separate that from, and I'm gonna word this carefully, potential problems. Okay, I can't separate it from that, because Joel, I mean, what do you think, Joel? I mean, all it would take was one person to come in and somehow desecrate or damage or bust up that statue, and then I don't know how the church would feel about that. What do you think, Joel?
Actually, we had that discussion, and it's interesting because, another event that happened about the same time is we had a major tree in front of the church that fell down in a recent storm. So we've had kind of this duality of tourist attractions at our parish, which has been, first this down tree, which is like massive. And what's interesting is it fell in such a way that it fell near the Mary Garden, and it destroyed, some of the decorations and the planting and all of that, but it didn't touch Mary at all. So, sort of there's some Catholic mysticism here locally in Richmond surrounding this event, which is somewhat cool. So we've got people coming for that, and then also for, the statue. So I mentioned that because, there were also some concerns because, okay, now we got this tree down and waiting for the city to clean it up, and, maybe that poses a danger. I guess my perspective on the matter is, I think we can only go so far with that, because it's like, somebody could throw a stone through a stained glass window. Somebody could come and put graffiti on the side of our church building. Somebody could come into the church on the weekend and cause problems. I guess that's a risk that I think necessarily we should be willing to take for the gospel. And then trusting that the Holy Spirit is with us and accompanying us, and the Lord is protecting the church. And I would just think that there's providence working in some of this. In the same way the church has been able to take various secular symbols and purify them and change them to be compatible with, our Christian Catholic message. Maybe it's a stretch to say that Pokémon Go could be, could have a similar effect, but I don't think it should stop us from trying to use it for the same end, even if there's some concerns about safety.
Right. Joel, a very interesting, great angle on this. Thank you so much. You sound so dedicated to your parish work, so thank you for that. From one fellow parish worker to another, thank you for being so dedicated. Real quickly, I just wanted to say, since you mentioned you work for a parish, Joel, if your parish or the surrounding communities are interested in an amazing fundraiser, and this is for everybody else, please email me. Email me at take2@EWTN.com. You talked about evangelization, Joel. I have an evangelizing fundraiser that is absolutely beyond words. In fact, I've never seen anything like this, and I happen to be a part of it, which was kind of exciting. But I have to tell you, as in parish work, these don't come by too easily. And so, Joel, thank you for your parish work. Thank you for your take today, for making the time to call in and email me if you have any if you want any fundraiser information, take 2, the number 2 at EWTN.com. Jerry?
I was chuckling. Yeah, thanks, Joel, for the call. I was chuckling in my mind. A lot of priestly vocations, Deb, you've heard of the John Paul II generation. Mm-hmm. How John Paul II inspired so many vocations. Right. Wouldn't it be something if in 10, 15 years,
I know what you're gonna
we're
say.
hearing about the Pokemon generation, all of these priestly and religious vocations
Oh, my goodness.
coming about. All right, we're going to go to Lori next, listening to EWTN Radio on Sirius XM 130 in Texas. Hi, Lori. Got just about a minute for you here. Go ahead.
Well, I just, during the time when my kids were around that, playing that Pokemon, I never allowed them to. And I thank you for the subject. And I think it's neat that because it's going to be going on, that we might as well make some good use out of it anyway. And I think that people are distracted driving if they're drinking or texting or anything else. So I think with everything, we need to be responsible with what we do. But
absolutely.
My son got married this summer, and he and I got out, and we formed a new bond that we never even had before, because we got out and we looked through the parks, and we had a blast doing it.
Oh, that's cool,
Well,
Lori.
and you know what? Here's something too, and this is one of those sort of, well, when I was young, when I was your age, but Lori, you make a great point. I remember when I was young, we didn't have anything like this. I've shared on the show before, we had a party line for our telephones. So there weren't even flip phones. There wasn't email.
sticks.
There wasn't anything. We would go out. We'd build a fort. We would go deep in the woods. We would peel cascara bark. We would play hide and seek. We'd play.
Yep.
We had a game we called Tackle the Guy. Okay, we'd have 8 of us in the yard. Whoever had the football, everybody else would go tackle him, and then he would give up the football and fumble it, or whoever got it. I mean, we had tons and tons of stuff to do, Debbie.
Right.
We didn't need something like this. So that again,
Used
that's
your
not,
imagination. That's
I'm
what
not
you did.
dropping a hammer on Pokemon. I'm just saying that several people have said, well, it gets the kids out of the house and so forth. Well, take the kids, go camping, go fishing, get out of the house. There's other ways of doing that, I guess, is my point.
Right. Well, but thank you guys. You made this
Thanks,
show
Lori.
today. Thanks, Lori.
Sorry to the others we're not going to get to.
Yes, Peter and Julia and Clara, the others all waiting, coming in. Please like us on EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook. You can leave your comments there about the Pokémon Go series, and we'd love to hear from you. Jerry?
Well, on Monday's program, we're going to talk about if you're unemployed and not loving it, you're having trouble finding work. There are a lot of people who would work and work hard and support their families, but they're just some of them are having a tough time. So we want to hear from you with your take on that.
Okay, so get ready for this. I'm changing it up a bit. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend. Jerry and I will see you real soon.